Hey guys, Tim Gillette, Rocker Life Coach, coming to you today for our step number 6 in our 7 steps to being the rock star now in your life. Today I'm coming to you from one of our conference rooms here at the Connective Hub. Now you see by some of this stuff here, it's a kind of nice little dressy room. And what do you see me in? I'm in this fancy tie-dye t-shirt, right? What are we going to talk about? Last time we talked about the fact of rules and laws. Today we're going to talk about the limits. Knowing your limits and testing them mildly. A little bit better than mildly, isn't it, would you say? Huh? Yeah? So, well, we covered the rules and laws. We talked about how the rules and laws, and we need to stay within those rules because of the fact that we want to be successful within the rules to show the company or organization that we're working for that we can do it, right? Well, we're talking today about limits. And I'm going to talk to you limits on 2 different things. Well, before I do that, let me talk to you a little bit about this thing called the speed limit. You've heard of that one? Yeah. Speed limit. Now, I know everybody watching this video and everybody who follows me on all of my social networks and all of my stuff online, you don't break the speed limit at all, right? Yeah, I don't need it. Not at all, right? The speed limit is set there at a certain speed for you to safely operate, and it's like they have all these tests and all this stuff that tells you what it's the safe zone to operate. That's why they picked that speed limit. Now, we have highways here in Texas that you can drive as high as 80 miles an hour on. And I'm going to tell you, yeah, my motorcycle will probably do 100. But I'm not going to speed that fast all the time. Why? It's just not practical, right? Now, on a highway, if the speed limit is about 65, 70, on average on the motorcycle, if I'm in a group of traffic, I'm going to drive probably about 71, 72. Why? I'm testing that limit just a little bit. Why am I doing that? I'm going a little bit faster on the motorcycle so that I cannot be in the same spot next to a car. But that's not what we're talking about in limits today. We're going to talk about limits on things like, I don't know, most people know my story and know the fact that I had epilepsy. I had to learn to physically take care of my body better. I had to learn to get a proper amount of night's sleep, a limit. If you don't get so much sleep, you're not going to operate successfully. You're going to operate in a sluggish kind of mood. I had to eat properly. Let's face it, I'm not a beach body here, okay? But if you don't eat properly with epilepsy, it's going to cause you to have seizures. Well, if you don't eat properly, it's going to cause you to become drained. If you're going to overload on things like caffeine or alcohol, you got to know your limits. Now, alcohol brings up a really interesting limit idea that I think maybe we should touch on. A lot of campaigns on drinking and driving and knowing your limits. I personally, when I drink 1 drink, maybe 2 at most. Sorry, you thought I was a big partier. I'm not. Okay? And the reason for that is because of my epilepsy. My limits brought me down to where I had to drink less in order to operate safely. That's how my life has gotten to be. You have to know when to say when, is what they're saying in a lot of this stuff now, right? Well, when you learn these limits in life, and just like me, I had to learn to eat right, I had to learn to get 8 hours worth of sleep a night, I had to learn to exercise, I had to take care of myself, had to spend family time, had to spend business time, had to divide the two. There's certain limits. When I say test them mildly, it's like, okay, most people when they want to test the limits, they think, okay, alcohol's a good example. I want to drink as much as I can and see how much partying I can do. Well, you don't want to do that. Get behind the wheel. It's just stupid. Face it. Not smart, right? Well, knowing the limits of my day is, I know the fact that if I know the limits that I have to get 8 hours sleep a night. But I have a big project coming up, so I'll get up an hour early and go work on it harder. And you know that just that little bit extra of less sleep for a few days, not for a long period of time, but for a few days, can help me get the work done. That is where you test, things like that is where you test your limits to see if you can go just a little bit further and a little bit further and a little bit further. See, I'm offside the camera now. Little by little, you test those limits. That's what we mean by testing them mildly. Now, you got to know the rules, you got to know the laws, and you got to know your limits. 3 different things you got to know. See? 3, okay? That's step number 6, guys. Rockstar now. That's what you're getting to become now. If you're learning, these are the steps that I took on every time to become a success in everything I do. Now the next step, you got to come back for, because the next step we're going to talk to you about being a giver. Going and giving now with what you've done. I'm Tim Gillette, the Rocker Life Coach. I'll catch you next time, man. I might not even have this fancy shirt on next time. I'll dress up for you.